Channel. Okay, we're live. Hey guys.
Hi.
I want to welcome everybody to Women Supporting Women Wednesdays. I have the beautiful Syrena Williams here with me today, and she actually is going to be interviewing me. So we are swapping seats. So
Absolutely.
you go ahead and look. You can say whatever you.
I am so excited to be here this evening, Ruth. And I want to give a little bit of a background because our relationship has evolved over time.
Yes.
When I met you, you were a really young lady in my eyes. And I met you going through your second divorce. I met you in a position where you were a client and I was an attorney. And as things evolved, we went to some additional spaces, recognized each other, thought about doing some type of business together. I've been your coach, I've been your consultant, and we've become friends.
Yep.
And even throughout all of that, you're a private lady. So when you spoke about doing this book, I really wanted to interview you tonight. For people who don't know anything about you, they know that your story is one of survival. It's one of self-care, and it's one that's not finished, but they don't know Ruth.
Right.
And I wanted to think about that and to say, talk to me a little bit about Ruth. Where did you grow up?
So I'm from a country town, Franklin County, North Carolina, and pretty much kind of moved around throughout that county, if that makes sense.
And did you grow up with your parents? Did you grow up with family? Did you grow up house to house? Did you grow up on the streets? Where did you grow up?
I grew up with my mom, but my mom was pretty much like I guess in a sense of come on, Riley. Sorry, guys. My mom was pretty much she had me at like 26.
Sure.
So my grandmother pretty much took care of me until my grandmother died. And so we lived in a family house with my mom, my grandma, my grandfather, and my dad even lived there at the time. And at 2, my dad left my mom. And so my mom was there. It left at home. And so then from pretty much from birth until 5, my grandmother took care of me. So I was sleeping in the bed with my grandma. My grandma was my mom, And then when my grandmother died, she had Velcro veins, and she pretty much crawled all the way to the end of the road and flagged people down to try to get help. And in those little towns, you don't have really, the healthcare that we have like in our RTP,
Right.
So she didn't make it. I remember following the ambulance. I remember, so much at that young age. And I remember seeing a different turn of my life. And so from that point, I saw my mama spiral. And my mom just began to really, I began to have to look out for my mom. And it was no more of Ruth being a 5-year-old. It was Ruth being, the responsible one, the adult. And I don't even know how I understood that at 5, but I did. So we were definitely, tossed around because my mom would try to outsmart the cops and outsmart, DSS because she felt like they were coming to get us. She knew that people was calling on her, saying that we were not safe and that type of thing. So she knew that. Let me download this video. And so because of that, she would run. And so when we would run, we would sleep in the car. We would sleep in homeless shelters. And it was times where I remember one night it was cold. We didn't make it into the homeless shelter. So we slept on a bus bench. So, a lot of people don't know that, they don't really know my story. And from that point, eventually they did catch her at home. And I watched them drag my mama out of the house. I'll talk about that in my book. And, it was a lot of traumatic things that happened, from the age of, I'm going to say from the time I can remember, I'm going to say 5 to, adulthood. And, being tossed around always makes you feel like you are on guard. You're always preparing for, watchful. I'm looking at everybody around me. And I learned that early, because I was not protected by the people that were supposed to protect me and love me. So with my own family and people that I'm supposed to be able to trust touches me and do stuff to me, anybody can come to me, So yeah, I began to just feel, abandoned at a very early age.
So when we think about the title of your book, I Survived, You Can Too. I'm hearing you say your survival started at 5 years old.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we get through that and the trauma, if we're going down this storyline that happened, where did you and your siblings end up living?
So we were in a temporary foster care for about 3 weeks. And then from that point, we went to another foster care. So we went through we was in 3 homes outside of our mom. And then at the age of 11, I would say from 7 years old to 11, we're back and forth. They trying to reunify us back with our mom. So we're back and forth from my cousin to my mom, my cousin to my mom. So we would, I think it was like 3 weeks at a time, but we would be, 3 weeks here, 3 weeks there. And one day my mom just was like, you know what? I'm just going to take Alex. And that's what she did. And so she left. And so from that point, her rights were taken. And I'll talk about this in the book. So when her rights was taken, basically any of our parents at this point, well, me and my brother parents, any other parent, which is the fathers, could now come up and, get custody of us. My dad, started the process and then let it go and gave up his rights. And that was devastating. So we eventually are adopted by our cousins. And so that's where we are until adulthood.
So how many siblings is it?
So it's 2 on my mom's side, and I have 3 on my biological dad's side.
So 6 total.
And then I have, of course, siblings with the adopted parents too. So the adopted parents have their own kids.
Okay, how many with the adoptive parents?
The adopted parents had 5.
So 13 siblings.
And
where do you fall? Where do you fall in that? Are you the oldest? Are you the youngest? Are you in the middle? Where do you fall?
By the time we are adopted, I'm the next to the oldest, but I'm the more responsible one out of everyone. My adopted dad's oldest, well, not oldest, or the youngest daughter, she's pretty much back and forth. And she's really not there permanently with us. At times she was, so she was technically the oldest at times, but it was times when she wasn't there, or when she moved away, and then it really was everything was kind of on me, even though they had an older son. I'm the oldest of my siblings.
Okay, you're the oldest of your siblings, and at that house, even though you might not have the oldest age,
right,
you took on most of the responsibility.
Oh yeah.
All right, and so you stay there through high school?
Until 18 when I moved out.
And where'd you go?
I got an apartment in Raleigh.
All right.
18. Yep.
And at 18, your apartment, were you going to college or were you just working? What were you doing?
Both. I started, I enrolled into Central, right out of college. I really wanted to go to Howard, but I really felt a financial strain on my responsibilities. I was very aware of what I had to do. I felt like I had to hold my siblings together. And I felt like, even though I wasn't their provider and they was being provided for, I felt, accountable. So I didn't feel like I could go to DC. I thought that was too much. And I had too much financial responsibility, I felt. So I just decided to get an apartment in Raleigh. I had a full-time job in Raleigh, and I was going to school full-time at Central. So I have a full load, 14, 16-hour, school load, and I'm working full-time at the hospital as a janitor.
And what were you feeling at that time? Do you remember how you were feeling?
Determined. I left home pretty much like I would never come back to this house. I'm out of here. Like, I can't wait to leave this house. So for me, it was survival, like for real. Like I kind of felt like I didn't have a home to come back to, even though I really did. I mean, if I wanted to come back home, I doubt that parents would let me come back home, but at a cost, if that makes sense. Not per se, not even saying financially, but at a cost.
Yeah. Everything has a cost, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, your head's cut off on my side. So
I'm sorry.
I can see. There we go.
Okay.
Too beautiful to cut off that face.
Look, I be trying to hide.
No. So, I was listening, and one of the reasons this interview came up is I was listening to what you did on one of your YouTube shows when you were talking about Juanita Bynum's book. And you spoke about your most recent situation, marriage, divorce.
Yeah.
And what I said to you is, Ruth, I don't think people know a few more pieces of that. So when was the first time you got married? How old were you?
I was 19. And I was 19 and I felt very pressured. Anybody, being raised in a Christian household, especially when that's your upbringing, like the entire family, we all grew up in the church. So shacking, as they say, which is living with a man and you're not married. For anybody that's not from the country, they know what shacking means.
Yeah, shacking up.
Right, they say shacking up was not okay. And I was in the church. I felt convicted. I felt, obligated to do that, and I felt like I was standing against God, which I technically was, So I got married at 19 years old. And I mean, we both are walking down the aisle like, yeah, I'm gonna get an annulment. It's almost like we knew it ain't almost. We knew that we wasn't ready to get married. He's 23, 24. I'm 19 years old. Like, I'm a kid. I'm just graduated from high school. I ain't got no business getting married. And from that point, I think he definitely helped me, with things financially. Anytime I was short, I had a lot of responsibility at 19. I had a lot of responsibility at 14. So I would be short on stuff. I needed to pay my car insurance. I need to do this, I need that. He always came through for me. And I'm pretty sure he lacked to help me, and I respected that. So me going to college and me making something of myself was for both of us, because he was a high school dropout that just worked his butt off, So, we kind of was like, we're going to do this together. We're going to do what we got to do. High school sweethearts. And then he started hitting me. And then things just went left.
When you say hitting you, you mean physically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he felt like I was slipping away. And in a lot of ways, I was. I was 19 years old, just started college, a church girl, good girl, never really seen much. Never lived lived away from home, never was wild. So I'm like, this is different, and I've been with this guy for years,
Right.
So he definitely felt like I was slipping away. I began to talk about, doing a sorority and telling him stories about, college, and he didn't understand nothing about college. So he was kind of like feeling like I'm drifting away. And so I think he was trying to regain control, and he began to try to regain control by touching me, by hitting me.
How long did that marriage last?
Like 8 months, 6 months. It was right after the annulment time, so it was like seven months. But we talked about an annulment, I mean, a week later. So it just tells you we was not, we just did it. But yeah.
And what was the one lesson you took away from that marriage?
I honestly don't think I took anything from it, because I don't really think I was mentally capable of understanding everything that was going on. I just tacked it on to the rest of the trauma and just kept moving. I don't really think I dealt with it. So I don't think I really realized a lot about the relationship until like now, I don't really think I acknowledged much about that relationship, other than I don't know. Maybe, having somebody that I went from a relationship that somebody helped me and would give me stuff to a relationship that I was doing everything.
Was that your second marriage, or was that a dating relationship?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the second marriage.
Second marriage.
But
how old were you on the second marriage?
25.
And so had you graduated college by then?
I was, yeah, I was just about to graduate grad school.
Okay. And Ruth, what did you major in college?
I have a bachelor's in political science and a bachelor's in public administration, and then I have a master's in public administration.
Okay. All right. You went straight through?
Yeah. I don't know why, but I did.
Do you regret it? You said it like, yeah. Like, do you regret that? Do you regret going straight through?
Yeah. Well, because I have it now, it's great, but I really didn't apply the skills that I learned in grad school. Even though I was a business owner when I was in grad school, I didn't really apply those things. I didn't really feel like I needed it. I was kind of in a space like, just give me my degree and let's be done with this. Like I've been in grad, they made me stay like a whole year because of one class. So I was kind of frustrated with the program at the time. So I really didn't take away a lot, as much as I really should have. And I had professors, tell me like, why are you in grad school? You just came out of undergrad. And I was like, what you mean? Why can't I go to grad school right out of undergrad? And now I understand that statement, but I felt like it was being hard on me and just being mean. But now it makes sense. So that's why I say that. I mean, I'm grateful to have it. I worked my butt off for it, but I think that's what they meant. Like working in the workforce, the real workforce, and then going to grad school means more to you. And you're really going to take those jewels that you learn in grad school and apply it to your job, to your company. But I wasn't doing it. I just was kind of like doing it just to get it done.
So I'm going to back up just a little bit. You said something. You said while you were in grad school, you were running a business. What was your business at the time? What kind of business did you have?
In 2007, 2008, I opened up a salon and spa. So at the time of me doing grad school, I opened up a salon and spa. I'm also working full-time in the mental health field, and I'm pregnant. So I was just everywhere. So I always have done multiple things. I've never just had one job. Even in high school, I had 3 jobs. So I always kind of, did multiple things. So I had the salon and spa, and I'm running that, but I don't have a cosmetology license. I don't even have a business degree. I have a public administration degree and a political science degree. So I'm going in this thing blind. I just have a dream and a little bit of money. And I'm just like, I'm doing this thing. And I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a guide at the time. And I honestly probably wouldn't even really probably listen too much to them at the time. I mean, it was people that, gave me advice from time to time or whatever, but I was in my 20s. I thought, knew what I was doing. And yeah. And 2008, 2009 recession hit, and I had to close that business down. So 2009, I'm beginning to say, you know what? I helped my girlfriend open her business. I could do my own too. And so me and my, at the time, me and my husband, we were married at the time. Me and my husband, we decided to open up our own mental health agency. So I am in grad school and I'm basically running two things at the same time, closing one in the process and open up another in the process as well.
All right. So the second husband.
Yep.
You are married, you are pregnant, and you are going into business together.
Right. Yep.
What is it like to be in business with your husband?
Whew. It has its pros and cons. It was great because, I mean, we could do whatever, it wasn't like, let me make sure, let me get this charger for this computer. We, sorry, I'm like, I would do this during the live. I just need to be honest. I just need to be honest instead of just trying to sugarcoat it. When your mate, when you and your mate live together and you work together, you could do anything. You could just go in the back, meet me in the back. You could do whatever. So that was fun. That was super, like spontaneous. I love stuff like that. But it was also times where, we're having a spat and the whole damn office knew that we had an issue, or that I had an attitude, or he wants to control the meeting, or he want to take money out of the business account, or he want to take money out of it just became to be just petty. And so I began to regret going into business, because I'm the one that introduced him to the business at this time. And so to bring you in, for you to come into the business with me, and then now we open up our own, and then I feel like you're beginning to take advantage of the situation. I kind of felt like slighted. I felt like a smack in the face. Like, what you doing? You thinking you're building this empire with this man. You are, you're growing together. I mean, we kids. We're like 25 years old. We're 26 years old. And we were managing 50 employees, 100 clients. We were doing a lot in our 20s, but I don't really think we really was realizing all the things we were doing at such an early age. And so I think that we were both immature in some ways. I was definitely mature, but he knew how to push my buttons. So, he was coming to meetings like, I'm the executive director, and I make the decisions around here. And it's like, you ain't been here in months, so you definitely got to be careful going in business with your mate, for sure.
So if you had to pick a lesson or two that you learned from that, what did you learn from that marriage or scenario that you'll take with you into the future? Have
agreement in place. I think I learned that from you. Have an agreement in place. Okay. If I would have had an agreement in place, some of the things that happened probably wouldn't have been able to happen, whether we were married or not. The other thing I would take away from it is, you can't go in business with everybody, and you definitely can't go in business with people just because you love them and you want to. Do they bring something truly to this business? If they're not really bringing, if you're doing everything, if you're doing 70, 80% of the work, hell, 60% of the work is a problem. And so that should, you should evaluate how they are in their day-to-day lives and their work ethic now. If they are like half-assing it in their work ethic now, what you think they're gonna do when they with you? It's gonna be the same thing. So I think that you definitely have to be mindful of who you're going business with, not even just with your mate, but with people, because all business ain't good business and all money ain't good money, and sometimes it's better to just do things on your own instead of just trying to bring somebody along with you because you want to help them. I got a problem with that, trying to help everybody. All right. Yeah.
So we're going to take a breath on that. Deep, take a breath.
Well,
and so tell me, how long were you married the second time?
I married in 08. Divorced by 2010. 2 years.
Okay.
But it lasted like a year and a half. A year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you put this book out in December of last year, and in December, you were going through your separation, right?
Right.
I can say this to you because I know you well enough. The world tells you the third time's a charm, and that's not necessarily true, right?
True. Look, might have been worse.
So this third marriage, how long were you married?
It's technically 6 years, but 5.
Okay. So the marriages are getting progressively longer. Yeah. Right? We went from 8 months to 2 years to 5, 6 years. We're getting there. But I want to know, looking back, I want to know, looking back, was it longer because it was the third marriage, or was it longer because it was better than the first two? Even though it still wasn't the marriage, you know, tell me about the length.
Rhonda. Truthfully, I think that's why I stayed. You know, I think I stayed because it was my third marriage. Truthfully, you know, I really don't think that it had much difference, truthfully, in any of it. I've made a badass decision, you know, and I dealt with, you know, I have a child by this man. This man has been a child to my oldest daughter since she was 1. And here I am on my third marriage. I was embarrassed. I was, you know, humiliated. I felt like a failure. You know, one of the main reasons why I got married is to be, you know, have an oath with God so that I didn't feel like I had to be out here fornicating. And, you know, God has played a major role in my life from the beginning. So I definitely wanted to honor that for sure, you know. But you got to be careful with that because you might tend to make decisions with the wrong person. You can still make that decision, but you got to be careful who you make the decision with. So I think that was really why I stayed. I stayed because I really feared the embarrassment. You know, I feared what people would say. I feared, I really, really feared what people would say. I really felt like a failure.
But you were strong and courageous and decided to stand up for Ruth one more time, right?
Yep.
So I know a lot of us deal with fears. A lot of us deal with people saying things about us. And, you know, if I was there, I'd hand you a tissue or
I know.
hug you.
Okay.
But I want to know, now that you're on the other side, what did people say that was so bad? I'm curious. or was it just something that you made bigger than it was?
Yeah, I internalized a lot. And I think we all do in different ways. I think that I internalized, you know, so much of the noise that I believed it. We're our own worst enemy a lot of times. You know, it's not really what people say, is what you say to yourself. And I began to say that, you know, I began to say, you know, this is not okay. You know, and I think once I really realized that, then I was able to, you know, get out of that. But I was really in a deep hole for a while. And a lot of people don't know that. And so, I walk around with a smile on my face or whatever because I've always learned how to cope. I've been coping my entire life. So me acting normal is what I always have done. I've always carried my scars, So I think now people say, wow, like they're shocked, like even today I met with a young lady I met as a couple on a couple's trip with my, my ex, my last husband. And she's going through a very similar situation. And I see God continuing to put me in front of women that are carrying the same or similar pain or in the similar pain as me. And I find solace in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful in that space, because I can speak on it. I lived it, and so they don't even realize that even though I'm helping them, they're helping me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's became they're more therapeutic, I think, than I ever thought it would be.
Mm. I want to talk about what you've survived, and then I want to talk about your self-care.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say I survived, what would you fill the blank in with?
I survived.
We can rattle off words if you want
Marriage,
to.
right? I have survived 3 marriages. I have survived entrepreneurship. I have survived molestation, domestic violence, manipulation, narcissists, liars, abandonment. I think that we don't even realize how much we have survived. So even you asking me that, I dim it down.
So I'm
And so
going to
I
ask
think,
you, have you survived infidelity?
yes. Oh,
Have
yeah.
you survived absent fathers at some time?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have you survived being used?
All the time.
Have you survived supporting others financially?
Yes.
Have you survived being a single mom?
Yes. Kicking ass right
So
now.
I love when when that comes up because I know that is where the smile lives.
Right.
Tell me on this journey. I know you grew up in the church, and so I know you have God,
Oh, yeah.
and He's so important to you. You talk about that whenever you talk. How are you caring for yourself? And I don't mean our superficial care. I don't
Right.
mean getting your hair done and your nails done.
Right.
How are you caring for yourself? How are you getting through the different points of survival?
Prayer. For sure. I call on God so much. When I'm weak, when I'm frustrated, when I feel alone. Devotion. I do. You invite me to Bible classes all the time, and I don't even get to do them like I should. But definitely devotion. Taking time to do devotion. I was doing hot yoga at one point prior to COVID, but I haven't really had a chance to do that. So that's something I definitely need to get back into. But I work out. That is a big stress reliever for me. What else do I do? I like being outside. I love just sitting on the porch. I love the beach. I love to travel. Yeah, those are like things that really make me happy. Really get to a good space.
I find our culture bucks at mental health, and you're in the mental
Mm-hmm.
health field. I
Mm-hmm.
find our culture, boy, if you tell somebody they need a therapist,
Right.
they ready to about cuss you out.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I know the many years I did family law. That was one of the things I always talk to people about is you just need somebody to listen to you, to let you get things off your chest. It doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't have a stake in it.
Right.
That doesn't really have a fight. They could care less what you come in and say. They're going to let you
Right.
say whatever, but then they want a process to make sure you're okay.
Right.
Or what's going to make you okay, or even bring up things. I know you're in the mental health business, so
Mm-hmm.
you know about providers.
Yeah.
Is that something you also use for yourself, for self-care, for check-ins, for balancing, for when things feel like too much?
Yeah. You mean like as far as like doing the business aspect, or you
As
mean
far
like?
as either checking in with a therapist, checking
Oh
in
yeah.
with a coach, checking in with, um, you know, I know for sure
Sorry.
the journey's not over for you. It's just beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you do that? Like, how did you get the strength to write this book?
Definitely mentors like you. Definitely, therapy. You encouraged me to go to therapy. I definitely would say like 3 or 4 other friends encouraged me to go to therapy, and I really wasn't ready until I really didn't accept it till I was ready to go. But I have found a lot of solace in therapy. Um, she makes a lot of things very clear. So I would definitely say, definitely therapy, definitely having a mentor, a guide, a person that can kind of say, what you doing? Like you tripping, get your life together. And also, being in the mental health field, I know all the signs. I know the triggers, you know, I know it all. I know all of that. I've done it for 16 years. And so I think that also me doing anger management classes. Like for instance, I have an anger management class weekly, and I host it now. And I find myself doing an anger management class, even though I'm not an angry person, I find it helping me. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to tell the patients, like, I know that I'm telling you guys this, but I also apply this stuff to myself too. And I'm very transparent, like, of my upbringing, my struggles too, in certain aspects ethically, but they don't realize that how much me helping them helps me.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we got this book, I Survived, You Can Too.
Mm-hmm.
If you could tell the readers anything you want them to take away, what's the one thing you want them to take away from this book?
To find your voice, to not let anyone silence you, to fight, no matter how dark of a hole you're in, that you can climb out of it. I've been in a lot of them. I think I really want people to find strength in the book. Some, may think that this book was like a tell-all book, or a book that was kind of like doing digs at people. But truthfully, the book was all about pain and survival. Exactly what the name of the book is. I Survive, You Can Too. And so, I found a lot of solace in it. I mean, some nights I cried, some days I cried, some days I smiled, with writing this book. So my hope is that when anyone that reads this book can find some strength, can find some positive affirmations, some positive verses, some songs that might be inspirational to make their day brighter, to make their life better. And I think that's really like the main thing of me writing the book, was to help other people. No matter how deep you are, no matter how bad you feel like your life is, you can get to the other side. And you keep on, stroking, pedaling, whatever it is you feel like you're doing. You do eventually get to the other side. and it's better, and it makes sense. Everything makes sense at that point. But if you give up in the middle, you never gonna know what was on the other end. And I think that speaks to suicide, that speaks to homicide, that speaks to, all these kids throwing their life away and being in jail for 25, 30 years, thinking that they have to make that one decision is the end, or that they have to make these terrible decisions. That was one of the things that really helped me connect to kids in mental health, was my background, my struggle, my pain, and me being able to relate to them. People see what they see on the outside, and they see a pretty girl. They ain't got it all together, not knowing the scars that I bear and I carry every day. And so when you begin to release those things and talk about those things to people, they're like, what? They would be shocked. And so, that's like the most important thing. So I think, people see the cover, and they see the cover, and they're like, okay, whatever they may think when they see the cover. And then when they open the book, it's like, wow, you really can't judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As my mom would say, they see that book and go, look at those legs.
Hey, Miss Janice.
Pretty legs.
It's true. So they just looking at it. They ain't thinking about nothing else.
Yeah.
It works. Look, if it works, hey, go and buy that book. You see the legs.
Oh my goodness. I think it's a powerful series of stories, written in a journal type way, where you're feeling it and seeing it as it's coming to you, as you're working through it, as you're channeling through it,
right,
to get to the other side. And of course, it's not up to date, right? Because it was released in December. So there's so much more after that. They're on your YouTube channel. Where can they get your book? Where can they find you? Where can they ask you to come speak and encourage other people to find their voice and not feel like they're the only person on this journey?
www.aruthproctor.com. Amazon, if you click on books and you type in A.Ruth Proctor, you can also purchase it there. I have various tour dates on my website. If they want to meet me in person, they can also request on my website for me to speak. They can also fill out, it's like a Google form that we send also for women, supporting Women Wednesdays now. So just, mainly social media and the website, www.aruthproctor.com.
All right. And I'm going to ask you this one question, because I know what the A stands for. Tell the people your first name and the meaning.
I'll whoop you.
You got to grow into it, Ruth.
Look, I will whoop you. I've been hiding. Look, and they should put me out there on my own.
Okay, well, maybe if you don't say what your name is, but tell us the meaning of the A. What does that name mean?
Awarding. I miss you, love. It's funny because my real father gave me that name, and he has not played a major role in my life. So I do the A, Amishela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to encourage you to think about your name, because God says our name means something.
Right.
Right. And it's not who gave it to you. It's what it is. And you can't hide from what you are or who you are.
Right. This is true. Whew, I told y'all she was deep. Look. Now y'all see why she my mentor. Look.
So your name's not about your dad.
Right.
Your name's about who God made you.
That's true.
And I wish you so much luck,
Yes.
so much blessings, so many great things, abundance. And I love that you are being careful with yourself. I love that you're a person who's always jumped out the window and just did it. I'm like, what? We were just talking about it. You doing it? Okay.
Right.
But it's who you are.
Yeah.
And it's great because we're all made differently. And that's encouraging to people. Follow your dreams, even when you don't know how it's going to turn out, even when you don't know if you're fully equipped, even if you don't know exactly how to do it.
Right.
I think that is so encouraging. So I thank you for allowing me in this space.
Yes.
To be transparent, to let people know who you are, what you stand for, and some pieces of what's in that book.
Yeah.
So people can really know what you survived.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I thank you for, coming up with this idea. God works in mysterious ways, and I'm a firm believer that he gives us what we need, not what we want. And like you said, you coming into my life, you came into my life in one piece, but man, 12 years later, here we are, 11 years later. I mean, God is amazing. And, with your new book that you have coming out, that comes out in May, right?
It does. It does. May 1st.
Pre-order, pre-order her book. Tell them your website. Cause look, this is all ties into what we just talked about with the self-care. If I am going to speak on self-care and I'm going to speak on, how I get through it, then meditation is next, So meditation is all about what your book is about. So definitely tell them, where they can get your book and they can pre-order your book, because look, she's going to be right there beside me. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Syrena N. Williams, Syrena with a Y, is my handle on all of my social media. And my book can be purchased on practicalskillsu.com and click merchandise. So, meditation, 21 days of spiritual meditation journal. He said, meditate on his word. And that's what we're doing in May.
Yes. I'm about to post this so people can see it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
There we go. Look, y'all at her Practical Skills University. Y'all look her up. Get that book. She's dope. Look, she all quiet in here, but look, she got all the accolades. She quiet. I love it. But I really appreciate you. I thank you for, allowing me to be vulnerable and asking me the tough questions that I don't even ask myself or talk about. I just, kind of just go at it. But you asked me the questions that I probably stay away from. Mm-hmm. So, I need that. And I think, like you said, I think this is something that we need to continue to do, because people don't really know who I am. They just know the little pieces that they see on Instagram and on YouTube. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, guys. And be sure to subscribe to Syrena Williams' channel too. Yeah.
We'll get it posted up. Exactly. Yes. All right, my love. Well, thank you so have much. A great night.
You too. Thank you. I appreciate you.
We'll talk later.
Yes.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys. See you next week. Same time, same place.